Welcome everybody to today, Saturday, April 12th. Saturday, Connect and Collaborate, where we'll be speaking about LinkedIn. And Vish, great to have you here. And the reason I wanted you to speak today and really just have a conversation with you is because I've been seeing a lot of changes on LinkedIn. I've been seeing things like when I follow somebody or even go to somebody's page, I get kind of an auto subscribe to my newsletter. I've not been able to figure out how to set a lot of that up. So, is there, first of all, would you share with everybody who you are, where you're coming in from, and then what you do in this world?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, David. I am Vishwanshi Joshi. You can call me Vish. I am a product manager at a LinkedIn automation startup called quickly.io. And I can give you much more information on that. I'm coming from the California Bay Area, San Jose, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. What uh what did you do before that? So how long have you been at this startup?
I have been here for a year now. And before that, I was an implementation analyst as well as I have worked as a data analyst as well.
Awesome. What have you seen? I mean, just the year at LinkedIn, I know they do a lot as far as adding features and many new things happening. I'd love just, I don't know what you can share. Some of it might be under NDA, but just could you share maybe a little bit about the journey and what you've seen in the last year?
Yeah, and I don't work directly with LinkedIn. What I do is use LinkedIn for our platform, and we help people generate leads or CRM, keep track of everything that they are talking to. Uh, with our quickly.io kind of like it goes on top of LinkedIn and helps you stay up to date and helps you generate uh, leads. And I can go over like some of the core features that we with, and you can decide which one you want to go into much more detail with, and I can explain those things. Does that sound good? Awesome. So
Absolutely.
the first thing we focus on is precision over breadth. And we have, instead of like scraping LinkedIn and for 100 different people, we focus on that five that are potential to close the deals. And we specialize in high conversion workflows with built-in logic and intent signals. Second thing we focus on is conversion focused automations. So what that does is not just scraping. We, unlike our competitors, which visit the profile and then send a connection request on LinkedIn, what we do instead is we smart sequence everything. So not only you can go to profiles and connection requests and personalized messages, but also if they don't respond, you can withdraw your request. You can send a follow-up message in 3 days, in 1 day, in a week. And those personalized messages are more like, okay, uh, what were their recent posts? Have they changed any jobs? And based on that, they will send the messages. Third thing we do is native CRM and inbox integration. So what our competitors do is like they export the data to CSV, or you have to use a third-party tool like Zapier to do all of these things. What we do instead is directly integrate with HubSpot, Salesforce, and things like that. We also integrate with Slack, and there are like zero switching costs, and that's our way of standing out from our competitors. And again, the fourth thing is kind of related to the second thing is AI powered personalization. We write personalized connection requests based on recent changes, recent posts, and all of the recent behaviors of that person, generating, like increasing the generations. And It can also lead to emails, phone numbers, like all of that is just an additional advantage that most of the tools have. So think of it like Zapier, plus Apollo.io plus ChatGPT is kind of like our platform.
Got it. And then, so how deep is it going? Because you've been to some of my classes on the, how to handle LinkedIn and just the nuances, and we can't. I mean, some of these things come across. I don't know about everybody else, Great, there's a database field they're pulling from my company, and they seem to be just this. I mean, how's the response rate going? And then
Yeah.
right, and just if somebody accepts, because I
hmm
find many people just accept anyone, that I think it's a mistake.
hmm
Are they, yeah, just how do we track the flow?
Yeah, and that's a great question. What we do is not only after somebody accepts, and those messages are A/B tested. Previously, which messages, which kinds of messages have gotten higher acceptance rates, and you can see all of those things and on our platform as well, and choose to send that kind of messages. After, for example, let me walk you through a flow. This is all automated. Your profile visit somebody else's profile. N- They'll get a notification. You send a connection request with a personalized message. Next, you can, okay, that maybe you didn't. So there's a yes and no kind of flow chart kind of diagram you can set up. If they accept, you can decide how much time you want to spend uh, to make it seem like, maybe if it's an automated message you want to know that, you can immediately just send in a message, or you can wait for 5 minutes, 1 hour, and be like, okay, send them this message after that time of acceptance. Or if it doesn't get accepted, has it been 3 days, week, you decide that time. Do you want to withdraw? Do you want to send another message like, hey, I sent you a connection request, whatever your purpose is with that? They accepted. What do you do after that? Have they replied? If they did not, how long do you wait? And then send the message. This is an entire sequence you can craft according to your needs. And there is always a way to automate everything, but we didn't want to make it. There are a lot of AI tools that kind of automate start to end everything's according to the AI. We don't want to have that. We want clients to have control over what they're doing. We want to be the IKEA and having that fine tuning everything instead of automating the whole thing.
Interesting. And do you see a lot of human interaction with this? I'm trying to figure out how we would use this for WITI, potentially. Um, right. I don't want to just spam people, right? And these have to be like very intentional and giving, right? I think, I get so turned off. And if anybody else has comments, if somebody reaches out and it's like, oh, so a lot of them I don't even accept. And I can show you everybody, some of the messages that I think are just me, I want this, I think that, rather than what's in it for me. And I think it's just very narrow-minded and not going to get. And then sometimes, and I kind of look, okay, who am I connected with? I don't necessarily just delete them right away. And then if I do, and then it's like, oh, do you want to, I'm a Salesforce expert or something like that. When, yeah, they're just trying to sell me something. And LinkedIn used to be my safe space for messaging, and now it's a little out of control. So, does anybody else have opinions on this? You're welcome to raise your hand or just unmute and come up. Raymond, go for it.
Yeah, just in connection with kindness. Um, During the lockdown, I decided that I would be a little bit more lax with my filters for people who would contact me. But I've found that nearly any time that I had reservations about making a connection, those reservations were immediately confirmed as soon as I made the connection because you get pitch slapped by them then.
Right.
So, that's something which kind of reduces the incentive to be kind to people. So that's just a point. I think that there's a lot of people out there, kind of misfortunates, who spent an awful lot of money on these training courses, which have trained them that what you do is that you reach out to, 100 people per day, and then anybody who accepts you, then you do pitch slap them with this, and then they give them this template for things to say. So you get the same stupid thing over and over again from people. And I kind of feel sorry for them, but at the same time, it is an annoyance. And as you say, David, this LinkedIn was the safe space.
Right.
And people are abusing it, and it just reduces the experience.
Totally.
That's all I
And
say.
roundtable. Somebody's told everybody to create the roundtable. I don't know. Anyway, no, I'm with you. I'm like trying to be kind, but now it's just like
I
ignore.
totally understand that. And I totally understand the pain and frustration of anyone and everyone reaching out to you. Uh, the thing with that is that how we deal with that is that not sending again hundreds and hundreds of things. It is tailored to their profile, and potentially something in their profile suggests that they might be in need. So we are only reaching out to, for example, salespeople and B2B organizations. Uh, like you can have your own like filters about things. You don't have to be reaching out to
Yeah.
everyone.
No, it's
Only
good.
people you determine your narrow group that needs your expertise.
Yeah. No, good. Jerry Riskin has a question.
Yeah, actually, that raises a question before the one I already had in mind. Some of the folks I work with, they have trouble thinking of who out there is their next client or whatever. So narrowing down that list can be daunting in itself. I just wanted to, you can go ahead and comment on that, but Vish, I was just going to say, I really like your attitude about quality versus quantity. And I love your attitude about leaving your clients in control so that they're not just slave to a machine that's going to do the same nonsense in certain times.
That doesn't produce
yeah.
quality results.
Say again, sorry?
That doesn't produce quality results. Spamming people does not, yeah.
Well, I can say as a spammee that I can attest to that as I delete, no, and all of that. And again, hats off to David, because David has said in this discussion, and he has said about 1,000 times before, about being of use to the other person, not what's in it for me. I think we should get together because I think I would really benefit, but no. So anyway, I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing, and I'd like to learn more about it because I think I'm a lawyer and my clients are law firms, and I think some of them might indeed have need of your kind of platform.
Yeah. And see, thing about my platform I want to specify is that we don't have the time to reach out to 100 potential clients in maybe like a short span of time. If people don't know about your product, even if it's far better than everything else out there, they're not going to be able to use it. There is a place and time for things like our platform to be used in the best way possible, to not only like give your services to the clients, but also solving the client problems. That's the main goal, right? Anyone working, everyone working, they're just trying to solve the client problems. And I know it very well.
So may I ask a quick supplementary question? How do you, Vish, with your platform, how do you educate the world? How do you become known? What kinds of tactics are you using?
Yeah, so I actually use, for example, for my own company, like the company I work for, we use our own platform to make sure we are only reaching out to quality people who will need a platform like ours to reach out to their potential clients. And that's how I use, yeah.
However, you said a moment ago that those who don't understand what it is you really do, not much point in reaching out because they won't know how it would be useful. So do you have a stage that's earlier where you're saying, we're going to educate the world as to what we do? And then we're going to be selective about maybe who we contact.
There's a candidate market fit that comes in. A product market fit that comes in. So product market fit is basically which customers are our company, our product trying to serve. So we only reach out to customers that fit into that bill. And if we want to broadcast it to the world, there are other ways of doing that. This is not the platform for broadcasting. This is for targeted reaching out to your specific customers.
So I'm sorry, I want to, rather than beat this to death, but let me go an inch further. So you reach out to me. I've said I work with law firms. Some of them might want to use your stuff. But till I met you, thank you, I had no idea what your platform did. And I had no idea who used LinkedIn. How? It was mystery food to me. So how, if I'm a prospect, do you, on the way to reaching out to me, teach me enough about what the heck your platform is that I might be interested in at least exploring that? Or don't you? You say, nope, you're not a product fit if you don't know us already. So I won't be writing to you, Jerry.
Yeah, so you're not our typical product fit. So I would not be reaching out to you directly. I think you would be coming across the platform through me talking right now. But if you are a product fit, what you will get is a message, for example, message, whatever, like we'll be doing some deeper dives into like what the company is doing, etc., etc. In the end, you might get a message saying that these are the core values we provide. I think we are a really good fit for you. You can use, and this is something that some other person does. So I am not the one in charge of this, and I'm just telling this on the top of my head. So don't hold me on this. But yeah, that's something like that. That's what we do.
Thank you
Or
so much.
reaching out to them in person, meeting people, going to those events and meeting people and actually educating them on that.
Thank you.
Jeffrey had his hand up. Do you want to, Jeffrey, chime in?
No, I'm fine. I was concerned about the API level because there's a certain amount of automation that we still need to be able to do. But by having an API key, you can make people accountable to the things they do and police it. So that was my thinking.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about APIs, Vish. I mean, have you seen them open? I know I haven't looked at it for a minute, but some things we had been trying to do was automation of getting our events up as a LinkedIn event through WITI. I know some of the things you could do utilizing the API, but I probably haven't looked at it in a couple of years. Were semi-limiting. What kind of growth have you seen lately? Or do you even deal with that?
I think we can talk about that offline.
Okay. I
Yeah.
got it. Okay. No problem. And then how about just AI in some of these things? Have you seen just growth and just how people are, or different ways that we may not have thought of?
Yeah. So in general, right now, we clearly, blatantly, in our eyes, in our face, see the trend towards everything AI. And that's something that people are using it as a tool of support. So that's what we are trying to make our product to be as well. And yeah, is there any specific way I can answer your question? Let me know. I think I'm giving a generalized answer right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I think like tools like Crystal Knows. Do you know Crystal Knows what that is?
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so Crystal Knows can do like a disc assessment based on information, right? So I might know, oh, you're an analytical thinker, you want data. And then I can customize my message to you to speak to that. Yeah, I just want to think more about this. I mean, I was excited to hear about your background and the company you're working at now. And I just think this is I've been seeing a lot of new profiles coming on LinkedIn. I spoke to a guy that works in tech, that's an engineering manager. that had not been on LinkedIn. I think you met him too. I was surprised.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think, oh my God, that's
yeah, I don't think that's the norm these days.
I don't think it's the norm, but I think there are a lot of like, people that we may want to connect with for different things, depending on what we're doing, that just don't use these tools. And now we're going to be more turned off them as they come in and they're just getting hammered with, oh, you have a great profile and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think there is a start to everything, and people are always connected to people who are like them. So, for example, what values you represent. And the more heartfelt, the more real people will get, people will be more attracted to something like that. People who are reaching out with a more heartfelt initiative instead of that copy paste AI kind of responses, everything will be more attracted to that. So you will be able to sift real from fake very easily on LinkedIn, even though I know it's a pain. But just instead of broadcasting, I think it's better to like do precision uh, reaching out, and that's the way to save us all from the unnecessary uh, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Okay, good. Jeff,
Yeah, this might be a question for the entire group, but I wanted to get your assessment and feelings about using LinkedIn for doing marketing versus, say, going on to Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., the other, or even YouTube, the other social media platforms, and what are the strengths and weaknesses of these various platforms?
I am primarily active on LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn, maybe YouTube. Like I don't post, but I'm usually like always checking things out. So Facebook and Instagram are not like, it has its own client uh segment, for example. And it depends on what kind of client you're trying to reach. And not only that, maybe it might help using all platforms. I think that might be a better solution to me,
Yeah,
depending on your product.
this is a partially selfish question because I'm involved with a political action committee we formed last year. It's called Americans for Tech Sovereignty. And I have a constant debate with the guys that help run the PAC about whether we should be using LinkedIn more or be sticking to TikTok, Instagram, etc. for our outreach. And I've been rather insistent because I am such a big LinkedIn user that we really, for political action, that LinkedIn could be an effective platform. But I haven't gotten very far. And I'm wondering maybe if your kind of platform could help with that, Vishwa.
Yeah. Um, this might be a little bit biased opinion, but from what I've seen, people don't like political stuff posted on LinkedIn. It might come off as harsh. I don't mean to be. This is just the trends I have noticed, personally.
Well, this is it is overtly political in the sense that we're doing outreach to get donations.
Hmm.
It's doing fairly well, and it's making like they're bringing in about $1,000 a day, primarily through email campaigns through the other platforms. We haven't done anything with LinkedIn, and
Hmm.
I guess the outreach message is really around, you've heard me harp on this before, stopping technocratic totalitarianism, which I think the world is at risk of. So it is overtly political in that way, I suppose. But
Yeah,
anyway, I'd love to talk maybe some more. I don't want to dominate the conversation here about this. So thank you.
we'll
I
have
think I would have to research on that to find out more about who the clients are.
right, but it's also targeting who's interested in this topic, right? And then so it could just be more targeted for Jeff is who's looking at creating dunas in Wyoming, or whose interest, who has, decentralized communities they're starting, right? Because those, just how do you get those seeds? Yeah, so more on that. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Raymond, go for it.
Yeah, it was just in connection with Jeff's question. Vish, you're doing great stuff, so thanks very much for sharing this information. Just in connection with Jeff's question, you don't necessarily need to be overtly political, and as a matter of fact, people don't like that on LinkedIn. But a lot of the issues that you're raising are around policy, and people do want to engage in discussions on policy. So if you're doing any kinds of community work around that, that could be interesting. Things like YouTube is good for putting out information, but then it's very much out of your control what happens in the chat underneath on YouTube. And the other difficulty with YouTube is that you can't reach out and get into conversations on DMs with people on YouTube, whereas people who engage with you on LinkedIn is an invitation for you then to take the discussion offline with them as well in DMs. So part of it also comes around who are the target people that you're trying to reach out to. That if you're looking for people who are involved in the technology business and it's the business side of things, it's very hard to, you're going to miss out on people if you're not covering them on LinkedIn. If you're talking about in Facebook, it might be kind of people who are technology bros, but maybe not the business side of things. So you really need to just work out who your market is and where they're at. But I really do believe in the community side of things. So, discussing policy in community, if you can avoid it becoming party political, because it does get very ugly very quickly if it's party political. But if you can keep it on the policy level, I think that that's still okay to do that in LinkedIn.
Right.
I 100% agree with Raymond. Also, what he said, I just want to say it in different words, like framing and reframing. So if you frame it as political, people are gonna be very political in the comments and the interactions. If you frame it as helping people, or these are some of the things like red flags or something needs to be worked on, I think people will be more supportive of, okay, here's what I see, and here's how I want to change it. I hope to see it change. I think that's my opinion on it.
Excellent. Right, and I think it's relationship building, and how do you have the back and forth, and how can you do your homework on the people you're reaching out to? So I just feel it's kind of a cross between AI and human and automation, and it's just these nuances, as tiny as they are, is going to help everybody get through the noise. I'm not convinced that can be automated yet for many things, but I'm sure for many it can be. And just aligning on solving people's problems. Vish, what's, as far as your journey goes, what's next up for you?
I am a product manager right now, and I am looking for my next role, mainly because my contract here is ending. And yeah, if you have any leads, if you think there is a role suitable for me, please reach out to me, and I'd love to talk to you guys.
Right. And I think, we should reframe that as companies that we feel would get value from Vish's experience.
For
We
sure.
don't necessarily care if there's a role sometimes, because we know when they meet her and watch this interview, they're gonna want to create a role. I think that yeah, these are things that we can do to support her in her journey. And I think a lot of these things are just starting. So thank you so much, Vish, for being here. I'm going to stop the YouTube. Every Saturday we're here, 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. to noon Pacific time. We do breakout rooms for the first hour. Then we have a talk, and then